Hey Wildcats, welcome back to another Wildcat in the Wild video. I'm right here outside the front doors of Growen Foods right here in Ridgebury, PA. I'm about ready to go inside and have a conversation with co-owner Tim Owen, a 2007 graduate of Athens Area High School. So let's come find out what Growen Foods and Tim has been up to over these years, and let's see what makes him a Wildcat in the Wild. Come on along. So here we are with Tim Owen, Bentley Creek Gardens, Growen Foods. You call yourself a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Growen Food is the original name where we got it started, and before we had the store here, we did farmers markets for about 4 or 5 years, going back to 2017, 2018 timeframe. And then in 2020, we opened up this store.
Oh. And
to kind of give it a location, we put Bentley Creek Gardens on it. So that's just kind of what we call the area, and we're in Bentley Creek, the town of Bentley Creek. So Growen Food is the business.
Growen Food is the business.
Bentley Creek Gardens is the location.
The location.
Yeah.
And we're out here in Ridgebury.
Ridgebury,
PA.
Yes.
Not a long drive today for the Wildcat in the Wild, and it's great to hang out with Tim. Tim, can you talk to us a little bit? There might be some people that don't know who you are.
It's okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming out today. Yeah, we're in basically the far northwest corner of the Athens School District.
Yes,
so in Ridgebury, but we're still here in Athens School District. About 2-3 miles north, you're in the Elmira City School District. 2-3 miles west, you're in Troy. So we're right along the edge, but about 10 miles from the high school.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, I'm a 2007 Athens graduate and 2011 from Penn State. And about 10 years ago, my wife Liz and I had the idea of, hey, maybe someday we can start a farm, kind of get into the farm to table trend that was big, 10, 15 years ago when we were just coming out of college, and really started small years ago with pigs and chickens and gardens and mushroom logs, and then we started going to farmers markets, and then eventually, we found this place to set up shop.
It's amazing. You went from pigs to chickens to all this.
Yeah. Well, it's all a learning process. A little bit at a time, figuring out what we wanted to do, what we didn't want to do. And we really just knew from the beginning we wanted to be food centric and based around healthy eating and community and kind of revitalizing, whether it's old farm or old buildings like the one we're operating out of now. Mm-hmm. Kind of take pride in that. It's not just kind of, we do take a lot of pride in our neighborhood and where we're from, and this is just our way to do it, is to grow food and cook food and market food and try to make a community out of it.
And keeping it local. And
keeping it local, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So out of our store now, we sell all the veggie produce that we grow here in the gardens that we're standing at, the mushrooms we grow inside, but also we sell 3 different dairies that are from around the area. Different cheeses, different honeys, syrups, a lot of different items, some from former teachers of mine at Athens, other students from Athens. So basically, other than maybe some potato chips and other packaged items that we get shipped in, the majority of what we sell in our store comes from about a 30-mile radius, maybe as far down to State College for a couple things, but for the most part, we're about as far west as Westfield for some things, and out to Montrose, down to State College, up to like the Elmira, Ithaca region, and we're kind of, that's where a lot of our inventory comes from that we don't grow here. Yeah,
it's an incredible mission that you guys are on, and you got a great vision, and you're very popular, and I've learned about you guys. I think you had like a food delivery thing at one point in time, and listen, if people don't know, there's a secret pizza in Ridgebury that a lot of people rave about.
It's a hard place to work some days when the kitchen gets hot and they're slinging pizzas out day in and day out. But yeah, it's great. My wife's from Brooklyn, actually, Craig. So she brought a little taste of the city to right here in Ridgebury.
New York pizza.
She doesn't like to call it New York style because it's not quite. She's very precise that it's not quite New York style pizza, but it's our own style. It is a thin crust. It's the cheese we use on it is from a dairy over in Milan. Right, the garlic we use for it it was growing right behind you before we harvested it. The sauce made right in the kitchen. So yeah, we kind of do it as a way of showcasing our produce, showcasing other farms, and it's a little bit of like our Jedi mind trick of getting people to eat a little bit healthier.
I love it.
You know, we like to say we meet in the middle of healthy eating and home style cooking, and we find no better way for somebody to be introduced into veggies that they otherwise wouldn't eat than by starting putting it on a pizza. And then that kind of starts the trickle down effect of, hey, they have other produce there that maybe we should try.
Try it out.
Yeah.
So, did you go to school for this, Tim?
I didn't technically go to school for this. It was a long journey getting here. I grew up gardening with my dad. We had beef cows up on the family farm, which is just about 3 miles away from here. We had beef cows till I was about 11, 12 years old, and then we got out of it. And I kind of romanticized the idea of farming in my head throughout the next 10, 20 years. But no, didn't go specifically to school for agriculture. Back in high school, though, at Athens, I did a lot of different, well, my senior project, we planted food plots for wildlife. So similar concepts. I was in Envirothon with Mr. Learn, where we did a lot of, just outdoor exploration and looking at different industries, environment industries, and their positive impact on the community, maybe the negative impact on the environment, and kind of just had my wheels ticking early of, I always wanted to start my own business and run my own thing, but it just took a while to get there to figure out what exactly it was going to be. And we're still figuring it out, this isn't an end product yet, but no, I kind of just learned from being around it most of the time.
Yeah, I have to say, we talked earlier today just to kind of understand, and you've gone through quite an evolution just right here too, and you're probably going to continue to evolve as a business and as a businessman and a company.
Yeah,
continue to evolve, and it's incredible. It's local. You're an Athens grad. It sounds like you have taken some of your experiences as a Wildcat and turned them into success. What did you do in high school? So
in high school, we did a little bit of everything. I was on the football team all 4 years. Did a little bit of track and field, the 1 year junior season. But most of the time, it was all football based. Off season and in season. And then the group of guys that we played with were all real tight, close knit group that we still stay in touch, still work together in some capacity. And that was, for high school, that was the big thing. Envirothon with Mr. Learn, did ceramics with Mr. Webster. And different things like that. Mr. Lichty's business classes were always, really important to me. And I would say that his entrepreneur class was one that really started to get my gears turning of, you can kind of just come up with a business plan, flesh it out, design it, and if you put the work in behind it, you can make things come into reality. But that's the hard part, right? It's easy to put things on paper and words, and then putting it into action can be the tricky part.
Yeah, they say theory is easy.
Yeah.
Just thinking. It's practice that's hard because you got to put your hands to it.
It's true, but words create reality, and the action behind those words is what puts it into actuality. So high school, I would never in a million years guess that this is where I would be doing what I'm doing. I really always wanted to have my own business. My dad owned his own business. My uncle owned his own business. And I thought that might be where I would want to go eventually, but I never really had a concept in mind really until I met my wife, Liz, in college. And she's from Brooklyn. And once I got to know her and her family, kind of got introduced to a whole new style of dining and restaurants and eating, and started going to these farm-to-table restaurants in New York City of fancy menus, and here they're coming out with the plate of grass-fed beef and pickled radishes and beets, and I look at the plate and I'm like, Liz, this is what Dad and I grew in the backyard growing up.
This isn't fancy. This is every day.
This is every day, so why can't we do something like this? And that was kind of just like the genesis of the thought 10 years ago, and one step leads to another, and now we're both full-time working here. She runs the kitchen and the store, and I kind of make sure this garden stays productive, that and the mushroom room inside. So you were telling me earlier you kind of started out with mushrooms, and
that's evolved too over the time. Let me ask you a question. What would high school Tim think of you today?
Yeah, that he's pretty cool.
All right, I like that.
That he's a hard worker. Yeah, I think if you were to see us now, you'd be like, wait, what? You're doing what? Where? Because even the building that we're operating out of now is it's an important building to my family. It's actually the old bingo hall to the Catholic Church that's adjacent to us in the parking lot. And so I grew up here, going to Sunday school. We ran bingo. I learned how to count change in that kitchen as we're selling fundraiser hot dogs and spaghetti dinners. And you know, my dad built it when I was in kindergarten. He was that lead contractor on the project. So this building was very close to my family. But one thing leads to another over the years, and the church eventually left it. It turned into a daycare, and then it was on the market for 2-3 years. And we knew what the building was. We knew who built it.
Right.
And we really needed a kitchen for our next step of our evolution of our Growen Food business. And that's kind of how it started. We got into this building mostly for the kitchen and for more indoor grow space so that we could grow mushrooms year round. And that first year, that's all it was. And we did farmers markets in the parking lot and realized that, hey, people actually do come out to Ridgebury for good food. And so the following year, we're like, let's open up a little farm stand inside that we can open it up every day of the week. And that was just a little 100 square foot area at the beginning of the building, and put a cooler and some shelves and basically just had a farmer's market every day. And more people decided to come out. And so growing up here in Ridgebury, I feel like we're in the middle of nowhere. I never would have dreamed that you can run a business here.
Yeah.
But we're now reminded every day that, yeah, people come out and support, and people like good food. Good culture is built around good food. That's kind of across the globe.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of, you know, revitalizing our neighborhoods and our rural communities, I think the way to do it is through food. This is where it all comes from.
Yeah, and thinking about that, it's like a lot of people worry, like some of the best talent that comes out of our local schools, like Athens, us, they're worried about the brain drain. The kids go off and do great things, but it's not in our valley. But you've committed to coming back and doing something meaningful. It's really incredible what you're doing here. What's a piece of advice? You know, if you're thinking about high school Tim or our recent graduates that we're going to have, or even our current students, what's a piece of advice that you would like to give them, you know, thinking about your experience in high school?
Get out and see different perspectives. You know, the world is huge, right? Our town is relatively small. But once you get out into the world and you realize all the connections that actually do root back to the Twin Tiers, Athens School District, it puts it into perspective of, we might be a little school relative, but we have made a large impact in a lot of different fields and industry.
Yeah.
And I think that brings a pride of where you come from. And so I think my piece of advice would be to remember your roots and remember all the people who basically made your childhood and your schooling what it was, and how can you repay that or pay it forward to the future generations. So using a gardening analogy, right, your plants are only as healthy as the roots, you know, as it is above, as it is below. And so I think after being away from home for about 10 years, there was no place I'd rather go, I think, except back home. And how do you do it without making sacrifices, instead doing it to where you're building everything up around you, including your personal development, including your community development, and doing it in a holistic way where you can kind of encourage the next generation that there's a whole world to be seen, there's a lot to do, but especially in today's day and age with social media and online communication, there's a lot of opportunity wherever you make it. And where your roots are important, and where you can be the strongest, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I appreciate that aspect. You know, we have a lot of opportunities in Athens, and especially at Athens High School and the whole learning experience. You know, I always say if you take advantage of the opportunities available to you, you really can compete anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's in business or any career path or in anything.
Yeah.
Because I think you can be well-rounded. Did you feel prepared?
Yeah. Well, I made it through Penn State in 4 years. That doesn't happen. It's usually too tempting to stick around an extra semester or two, but I got through it in 4 years and turned it into a career right after my senior year internship. I was able to parlay into a salaried position over the next, from 2010 to 2019, and made do with what I went to school for.
Yeah.
And loved it, had a great time.
Yeah.
Learned a lot, traveled the world, and really put into perspective for me what I wanted to do long term. And as I mentioned, I always from young ages wanted to have my own business that I worked for myself eventually.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of zoning in on what my interests were, what my passions were, what I'm good at, what my wife can bring to the table in terms of her background and her expertise. And we married the two in the literal sense of farming and food.
Yeah.
And hospitality. I think that's one of the big things that we focus on here, in addition to serving good, healthy, delicious food, is making people feel welcome, making people feel part of the community, making people be seen and heard of, like, we're moving back, we're investing into this area because it invested into us.
Well, Tim, I have to say, as I've been in Athens since 2013, I've seen a lot of our alumni do great things. I'm dedicated to highlighting that because I want our community to know that you can get a lot out of going to school and becoming a Wildcat and graduating, and you're definitely, people are very proud of what you're doing here. I hear it all the time. You were recommended 1 billion times to come do. I'm so glad we can make time to do it. Thank you for supporting our community. Thank you for supporting us and being an amazing Wildcat. So as always, thank you so much, Tim.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for coming out.